Hello, peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny.
Hello.
We are the Fright Club NI, and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights.
Ooh.
Hello. On tonight's episode, we're talking about Wrong Turn.
Where is the wrong turn? Where did we take a wrong turn? How did we get here? We took the wrong turn, did we? What was the right turn? Was it the left turn? No one says wrong turn on this movie. How do we know we took the wrong turn?
Oh my God.
Are you crazy?
They took her. Come on, we gotta go.
Just calm down.
We gotta move.
You one of them folks who called me from the fire tower? I've been looking all over for you.
Please shut up and listen. People are dead.
Dead? What people?
And we're back with episode 7.9 of Monday Night Frights. Tonight we're talking about the 2003 horror movie Wrong Turn, Danny. You mentioned where was the wrong turn?
Where was the wrong turn?
Where was it?
Where did we take a turn that was wrong? How do we know that?
They should have just waited.
Should have
They
stuck to
should
the main
not
road.
have went down the highway, or they should have went down the highway instead of going
Should
down
have stuck to the highway if they
that
just
little
waited.
side road.
What is it? They say like a tractor jackknife on the road or something. I'm like, tractors.
Couple of hours, mate.
I mean, if a tractor's gonna jackknife, they'd be having to have a heavy load in the back. So what did it have? Was it a slurry? Was it a slurry tanker on the back of the tractor? Because to be honest, I'm not sure I fully believe that now. Because
Also,
a tractor jackknifing probably is an easier fix than a truck jackknifing. If we're gonna get technical about it,
the road that they go down is supposed to be like a wee dirt road, but it's really not.
no,
It's not a bad road,
it's not
actually.
even that bad. Yeah, it's not until they start getting really into the thick of it that we get
Deep,
off road.
Off road. That's what they should have called it. Off road should be the title of the movie.
That would have been a better name. That would have been a better name. But the thing is, like, I think we messaged each other. We were messaging each other yesterday evening about this, and like this film is one of those. This was the first time. Kel Surprise. Danny hadn't seen it before. This was the first time for me.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I hadn't seen it before. But like it was one of those things. It's like redneck, mentally deranged, physically disabled, hick family, fucking with some teens. You've seen them. You've seen one. You've seen them all. And this film does it. But this film, like, apart from their spooky cabin, yeah, all the roads and stuff were fine. There was no sense of like, yeah, there's the bit where they kind of like are up in the watchtower and they're like, oh, I can see the roads from up here because there's so many fucking tall trees. That's why. Go down and look between the trees. And then they do find a road anyway, and it's a nice road. There's no sense of like they're like not in there. You know, it's not like The Hills Have Eyes. Once they get in the desert, like they're stuck out in the desert.
Yeah.
This here I was like,
I like it.
it's fine. It's one of those ones I was kind of like, I've seen this all before, and I do enjoy it when I watch it, but it was just all very samey.
I know it is. I mean, I do like the movie. I saw it in the cinema when it first came out. I think I have a bit of a nostalgia for it. Not that I love it or talk about it or like I haven't seen it in ages either. But it just sort of reminds me of a time where kind of simple horror films just came out. I was thinking about Cabin Fever as well, which came out I think the year before this, or maybe 2 years before this.
This was giving me Hills Have Eyes remake vibes with the opening credits, and they've got like the like documents and the pictures of all, which I'm just kind of like, that's just people who are born with a physical disability. Like that's kind of shit, I guess. Like,
I know what you mean now. The credit scenes, you mean?
Yeah, the opening credits, and they got all the pictures, and it's like,
Yeah, well, the Hills of Eyes remake came out in 2006. So with last week's episode, when we spoke about 13 Ghosts, we spoke about how horror films in the 2000s, particularly sort of the start of the 2000s into towards the middle, maybe not so much right at the very end, but they all had a similar look. They were all sort of edited the same way. They had this sort of style to them that you could sort of watch it and go,
it was the style at the time.
That was clearly made between 2001 and 2005 or whatever.
This film does it. This is again another peak, like early 2000s film.
But I think you said The Hills of Eyes there. It's definitely a film that was inspired by 70s exploitation films, like Hills of Eyes and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I was getting major, and Friday the 13th. I was getting big Friday the 13th towards the end of this film. Big Friday the 13th energy. Yep.
I saw they mention it in the film. Jeremy Sisto's character mentions Deliverance, which is the magnum opus of in the woods family type stealing people's bodies and doing dirty things to them.
I think it's good fun, and I feel if you'd never seen any other film like this, you'd probably go into it and be like, hey, that was a good fun redneck horror romp. But haven't seen so much else like it. I was like, you kind of know what to expect. There's one thing though, and we'll talk about it when we get there. When we get there, I'll talk about it because I was like, a thing happens, and I had to go look up, and I discovered that this is a whole thing. But we'll talk about it when we get to it. But I'm really excited to talk to it, and I'm pumped. I've been thinking about it all day, and I've discovered that it's a thing, and I hope other people know it's a thing. And whenever I reveal it, let me know in the comments if you know about this thing. It's just it's just something that I noticed, and then I went looking about it, and apparently it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah. So, yes, this was directed by Rob Schmidt, who
where do I know the name?
This is his most notable film. I don't think he did one movie. He did one movie before this, I think, and a couple of other movies after. But this is his most notable film. It was written by Alan B. McElroy, who has written a lot of good fucking films, man. Some shit films, but like he wrote Halloween 4.
Okay.
Which is a good film. Some people hate it. Some people love it. He also wrote Spawn. Todd McFarlane. Spawn. Yeah.
Okay.
And he wrote The Marine, which was 2006, 2007, starring John Cena.
Was that his breakout one? Was that the?
Yeah, it was kind of one of his big films, and he wrote a couple of sequels to The Marine as well. After John Cena left the franchise. But yeah, so I mean, he's done some great work. As we said, it's definitely a film of its time. It's very much a 2000s noughties horror film. Just to sum up, we've spoke about the premise quite a bit there, but if you haven't seen the film, it's about a group of, I wouldn't say they're teens, I would say they're
not
early
teens,
20s.
They're kind of, I would say,
early to mid 20s.
Postgraduates. They're postgrads, except for the main doctor man. All their names have escaped me. I won't lie, again, the characters fall into a bit of a trope, and I kind of was just like, I really have no attachment to any of you people. If any of you die, in fact, I was hoping for quicker deaths for them, and it doesn't. Bar the first two, the other ones kind of labor on a wee bit, and I was like, and again, I did kind of like the forest death. I did like when the arrows and stuff.
There's some good kills.
There's some good kills. There is.
We'll get there. I don't want to go there too soon. I want to go through a few things first before we go through this. But anyway, so it's about a group of early 20s who are lost in this isolated stretch of road. It's not a bad road. They call it a dirt road. It's not a bad road.
It's not a dirt road at all. But there for us, I'd be like, Jesus, boys, I'm traveling just outside Ballymena.
It's not bad here. That's not a bad highway.
Not a single pothole to be seen.
From Toom to fucking Derry. Is this a new one that they built?
It's a new road.
So there's a car crash, and this creates a situation where they have to sort of split off and go and seek help.
What about actually, before we even get to that, before the actual opening credits, we have a couple who are doing some cliff climbing. And they're all roped and harnessed up and stuff, and next thing his body fucking flops over the side, and then she starts to get pulled up, but cuts herself away from it, and then again it's one of those things we talked in 13 Ghosts how the opening had to grip the audience. We had to see something happen, something spooky had to happen to bring us in before the opening credits. And again, we got that with this. I was watching and was just like, fucking, there we go. That's just like fucking 13 Ghosts. Something fucking spooky. And we didn't see, all we saw was a creepy hand but that was
Yeah.
really it.
Oh no,
But
we see something else. We see the trees. Hoo-hoo, as they run away,
oh
giggling,
yeah,
giggling.
sorry. But yeah, again, I was just thinking about that. I was like, that was like 13 Ghosts. We had to have something that draws us in and makes us to go to
But
start, before the credits even roll, the opening
yeah, but
credits.
the 13 Ghosts made a bit of sense.
Yeah.
Obviously this makes sense in the sense that yes, something's out there, but these
Mhm.
characters, like, we don't, they're dead, they die. It's a cold
Yeah.
open, but essentially,
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that type of
Yeah.
open.
Well, again, it's
Unless
I think that's what we find. There's been at that time we needed something to kind of grab us like that. Let us know there's impending danger. Whereas now you'll get a lot of people who'll say, and I'm guilty of it too, who'll say that it's a bit of a slow burn. Movies these days, bit of a slow burn to start with, but once it gets into it, whereas back then we didn't really get slow burns because something you had to get gripped. Physically. I
yeah,
mean, in this case, the characters literally did get gripped and
yeah.
murdered. Absolutely murdered. But yeah,
So
again, these characters, we don't even fucking know who they were, and they're
yeah,
of no
and they
consequence. At
don't
least
turn
with
up
13
later. There's
Ghosts.
nothing really,
Yeah.
that they talk about in the radio briefly. There's a mention of them, the missing
Yeah.
people, but they don't turn up. They're nobody important.
No.
But so the car crash, they have a car crash. They split off into two groups looking for help, and they come across this cabin in the woods.
Yeah. Well, they
Oh,
don't even split. There's the four of them find the cabin in the woods, and then the two like stoner dickhead ones, the horny stoner dickheads, stay at the car and are like, rumpy pumping and getting annoyed because nobody left with any food. And then basically get killed. Like that's it. Nothing again. You introduce them because they have sex, because they're kind of arseholey, they get killed.
Of course, I know. And the other group then sort of bump into this cannibalistic,
Yeah.
incestuous family. Or
Again, there's
inbreeding.
nothing, but that's the thing, because I was waiting for, as I was watching it, I was like, right, we know from the opening credits that they've, they're going to look, they're going to have hair lips and, bulging eyes and all the rest. But I was waiting for, like, the way with, House of a Thousand Corpses and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's always kind of like a matriarchal character. Like I was waiting for like a mama or a papa. But we didn't. It just seemed to be like three brothers, or do we even know that? Are they related? Like they're just like
We don't know.
three like deranged beings that
Yeah.
like happen to live together, but there's nothing to imply that. We just assume that the result of incest. We don't. I don't know if the other films, because I think there's 7 and a remake.
There's 6 in
in a,
total,
6? Okay.
and then a remake.
But does it delve into their backstories? I don't know, because I've not seen any of the rest
I've
of
not
them.
seen any other remake. I think I've maybe seen the second one. I can't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
Definitely not seen anything after 3. So I don't know if they do try to discover the background of these guys, and where they came from and what's their backstory. And that was one of my sort of negatives, in that yes, I understand what they're doing with the story. They want it to be, it's pretty quick paced. Everything happens fairly quickly. There's not a lot of background and story there, and I get that, but sometimes you just need a little bit of something to work on.
We don't mind it. Yeah, we don't mind not having too much context and backstory. Sometimes the villain's just a villain. But I think this one's very on the nose with they look spooky and bad, so they're spooky and bad, and that's why I think with like House of a Thousand Corpses, the character of Tiny, who has a physical disability, is actually the good character, whereas it's actually the normal looking people that are the villains of the piece. Whereas with this, it just feels like that one's got a hair lip and bulging eyes, so he's bad. And that one's got freaky skin, so he's bad. And that one, well, he got freaky little 6. Everyone's got 6-fingered hands with 2 thumbs on each side. It's like, yeah, we get it. It looks bad and scary, so it has to be bad and scary.
Yeah. Talked about some of the films that influenced this film, but I think Wrong Turn, for a lot of millennials and Generation Z, whatever you want to call them, this is their Deliverance. This is their Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Their Hills of Eyes.
Hills of Eyes. I think a lot of films then looked to Wrong Turn and essentially just tried to copy that, even though it was kind of a copy of those films that we
that
spoke
came
about.
before.
So this is kind of, in many ways, the reference for a lot of films that then would come after it, and a lot of people would kind of reference it in pop culture as well. Even though, as we said, this is essentially a copy of those other
Is it an
films.
homage?
It's an homage.
It's
a
an
tribute.
homage. A little homage.
A tribute.
Yeah. It's
So the cast is Jeremy Sisto is in it, who I think he was quite big at the time. He had been in a couple of TV shows. I can't remember what TV show.
I knew his face from stuff, but I couldn't nothing that comes to mind. You know?
Desmond Harrington, I think, was the main guy, and you're right. I can't fucking remember any of their names.
Yeah,
I
think
remember
the only
some
one
of
I
the
can
girls'
remember
names.
is
I've written some of their names down.
Was the stoner boyfriend from
I have no clue.
Supernatural?
Don't think so. No.
I don't know them, man.
I know. Emmauelle Chriqui played Carly, who is Jeremy Sisto's girlfriend. He's called Scott.
Yes.
And then the biggest star in it is Eliza Dushku, who was in Buffy and Bring It On. She was in a couple of those kind of teen movies around the mid to late 90s and then into the 2000s as well. But she was definitely the kind of the biggest star. I think she was on the poster and stuff. So, and so so she's obviously going to be the final girl or whatever.
Yep.
But we'll talk about this, the hunters or the stalkers, the cannibals, wherever the fuck you want to call them. There's three of them. There's a trio. So two of them are quite big and bulky, and then one of them's like a wee sort of wee
skinny
rat
one who
rat
just
fucker.
spends the whole time manically laughing,
squealing, and
getting on.
But as you mentioned, they're badly disfigured. They've got scars and missing fingers. Actually, they have names. So one of them is called Three Fingers. I've only got 3 fingers. I get you. That's the wee skinny one. And then one of them is called Sawtooth, which is the one with the lip, which you mentioned, and the other one is called One Eye. I wonder what his disfigurement is. Not sure about that. But yeah, so little fact here. The guy that plays Sawtooth was, I don't know if he still is, but at the time of his casting, he was Canada's tallest man. There you go. I'm not sure how tall he was. I would imagine he's at least 7 foot or somewhere around that kind of.
I really he was
range.
weird because he had he had massive broad shoulders, but then wee legs.
And he had,
like a golf ball,
on,
like a tee.
I'm going to guess that was padding that he was wearing.
Maybe padded him out. Yeah.
I think he was a next professional wrestler who had wrestled. Okay. So just thought that was quite funny. He was the Canada's tallest man.
Canada's tallest man.
Yeah, because I think it's a Canadian production. It's so I'm assuming it was filmed in Canada, which is massive for for production for tax reasons and locations, obviously. The makeup that was created for the film, you sort of see it fleetingly throughout, and then you see a bit of it towards the end. You see some close-up scenes. I like that you don't see a lot of it.
You don't see a lot of it. I think, it's good at the start, but I think towards the end I would like to see a wee bit more. I think you see mostly Three Finger. I think you get a lot of visuals of Three Finger, whereas the other two kind of stay more in the shadows. I do like when we see, I think it's Sawtooth that's at the police car, at the police street.
Yeah.
I think I like that, and him looking around and all. Them boys see them the three brothers. They don't think to look down under stuff, do they? There's 2 occasions in this movie where they go to reach for stuff in the ground, but they never actually think to
He does well in the police car. He does.
Look, he does kind of, but very last minute. It's if you just look under the thing straight away.
He's a big man, though. He can't bend down.
He just he's maybe got a bad back. Maybe didn't think about that.
But so the makeup was done by the great Stan Winston, who we all love. Stan Winston actually served as a producer on the film as well. But he's done Fuck me, he's done
So
everything like
much. Yep.
Terminator, Predator, Aliens.
Mhm.
He worked on The Thing. What else has he done, man? He's done Pumpkinhead,
What's he not done?
Jurassic Park. Fuck's sake.
What's he not
What's
done,
he not
sir?
done?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Edward Scissorhands, Constantine, so many. But as also as you mentioned, the film is a bit tropey.
Mhm.
It's I think I don't mind that so much because I do feel like
I think,
this helped to cement those tropes, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
That makes
I
sense.
think it's one of those things. Like, I don't think you can escape. It's like with the redneck, hunter cannibalistic thing. You have to lean into those Exorcist movies. You've got to lean into the Exorcist tropes. There's no escaping it, really. I don't think. And yes, there's nice homages and stuff. I just, yeah, I don't know. I think I did enjoy it, but like, again, a lot of it was kind of like, I know what's
Yeah.
happening.
I mean, I mentioned my negatives, and it was the fact that there was little backstory in the villains, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. But there was little character development as well.
Yeah, for
And
anybody.
I know this is a short horror film from 2003. We don't really need the big character journeys. I mean, I'm not asking for that, but like, I don't care about these characters so much, so I just want to see
Something.
some cool kills, but I would like one character to at least stand out.
Yep.
And I think it failed to even make one of the characters kind of. I didn't really care or root for any of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
same.
so it would have been nice to have something stand out from at least one of the characters. There was
Yeah.
very little um tension or suspense in the film. There's a few scenes where you're sort of like, oh, but I mean, there's not an awful lot of tension there, and I like my horror to, I like things to be drawn out in a very sort of balanced way, and I
Mhm.
like there to be tension and suspense. We got a little bit of in the house whenever they were hiding, but then it
Yeah,
kind of just time faded, and then
yeah.
they just escaped, and it was kind of like, I would have liked a wee bit more
Mhm.
tense there.
I love just, yeah, I know we'd seen it with the likes of the Hills of Ice remake and stuff we've seen, but I was waiting. I was half expecting when they went into the house that there would have been some sort of like older kind of character to at least give us some indication that, right, this is, there's Pa, and
Yeah,
he's, the one that's like leading them all on, and is obviously, and there was kind of, I think towards the end, the idea that they kind of kept like the final girl alive. I was like, okay, are they going to use her for like reading purposes? But again, it was kind of like, I feel like they're just going to cut her up. Like, all we've seen them do is cut people up, and then and they move on to the next thing. Like, there was no real sense of like prolonged doom. It's like, well, they're going to kill them and they're going to cut them
mm.
up and they'll probably eat them. Okay, all
Yeah, they
right.
don't even seem to torture them that much. They just sort of go
No,
in and just like we see it with one of the victims. They go in and he just cuts his head off straight away, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, what are you going to do? Like, I think it would have been nice. Supposedly they're cannibals. It
yeah.
would have been nice to see. I mean,
Having
I
a little
suppose
meal, a little family
potentially
meal.
yeah. I mean, that's maybe copying the Texas Chainsaw Massacre too much,
Mm.
but it would have been nice to have a sort of meal or something where you could see that there's something going on here with these guys. They're not just completely mindless killers that just discard bodies. We've seen the jars with the meat the meat on the plate and the things in the jars and stuff. So I suppose we have that sense that that's what they do. But still, it would have been nice to see something else.
Yep.
Um, it's a good popcorn movie.
Mhm.
Even we spoke last week about 13 Ghosts, and
Mm.
it's a fun popcorn movie.
Yeah,
You can't deny that.
I think
Um,
I think if I had to go for one of the two to rewatch again, if somebody said, right, we've got to sit and rewatch one of these like right now, I'm probably going to go 13 Ghosts. I'm probably going to pick it because I just think there was enough different wee interesting things in 13 Ghosts. Whereas with this, I was kind of, as we said, character development, not a whole lot, not really enough context for the villains of the piece, and just too tropey, just too
I
tropey
would
for me.
I would actually go the other. I would lean the other way. Yeah.
Oh,
Um, as much as I did like 13 Ghosts, and it's a fun movie, it's not a movie I would rewatch very often.
yeah.
But then I suppose Wrong Turn, yeah. it'd be a close one. Like it would be a decision I would have to
Ponder.
mull over.
Would have to ponder upon it. Yeah, I think there was good kills, so there was definitely like enough killing involved to keep me interested. And
Yeah.
again, it's one of those I did say earlier. The first two characters, the kind of stoner assholes, they get whacked fairly quickly. And I think it's like a barbed wire kill. Which is pretty cool, but again happens so like I think that's one of the other things is everything happens so quickly. It feels like everything is just being done to like be like boom, right, on to the next scene, boom, on to the next scene, boom, on to even the initial setup whenever the main character's kind of diverted off the highway and he's going down the country road and he stops at like a little gas station and he's asking about like directions, what's the quickest way for me to get back onto the road to head into town or whatever. I've got an
Danny?
appointment.
I believe you're talking about the Harbinger of Doom scene.
The Harbinger. Sorry, I do apologize. Let me use the proper term. The Harbinger of Doom scene. Even that, like Harbinger of Doom scenes for any other film that had come before, filled us with more doom. Whereas this guy was just drinking fucking stomach medicine and going,
hey.
Yeah, you're the one that's got to need luck, boy.
He's good. He had literally 2.5 teeth in his mouth as well.
Yeah, and he's just like, what is it? He's like, you give me lip, boy. You give me lip.
That's the only phone I got.
That's the only phone I got. What was it? It's a long distance call. And then, the only bit of doom's at the end when he's like, you're the one that's got to need luck, boy. I was like,
after he's driven away.
Yeah, he doesn't even.
What would have been funny is if he had stopped the car and went, put his head out. What was that?
What'd you say?
You say, motherfucker?
What did you say? I said you gotta need the luck, boy. Just everything was so rushed, I think.
And then he goes back to the gas station at the end. But yeah, no, it's oh god, there's quite a lot wrong with the film as well, but it's very tropey. It's very sort of I think the word that I'm trying to find here is lazy, and I don't want to say I hate saying lazy because it's such a lazy way to describe something.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
It's not. I don't know if I'd go as far as say, like you can tell that the people who made it obviously were fans of the genre. The fact that they include a nod to Deliverance by mentioning it, as we said, all the movies and stuff that it's obviously paying, throwing up its flag to and stuff. But yeah, it just was lacking the full sauce.
It was lacking the tension, I think. That's what it comes down to.
Do you have figures for us?
I do, yeah.
Oh, what have we got?
The budget was 12 million,
which
is quite nice, quite average. It made 28.5 million. The box office.
Okay.
There you go. So
very
successful.
All right.
Not Blumhouse level success, but a precursor to Blumhouse type films. I think some of these early 2000 films were.
Yep.
They didn't make crazy
franchise
money, but
starters. Yeah, it kicked off.
Absolutely,
some things. So yeah, fair play to it. Well, I don't know. It's one of those ones where I'm kind of like, well, I go watch the rest because I'm intrigued.
I'm
intrigued, but I'm not like going. I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to engage with it. If it stumbles across my path, if it takes a wrong turn and ends up in my path, then I'll give it a wee watch.
If you go off road, Danny, and
off a really nice off-beaten track.
Fucking no, I'm going to go and watch some. I'm sure I've seen the second one. I've seen stills from the remake. I haven't seen the remake yet, and there's a very famous meme out there that from the main guy, and he's creepy as fuck. So I have to watch the remake as well. And I wonder, does the remake kind of explore the characters' backgrounds a wee bit more, and maybe be a wee bit more serious,
possibly.
Which we've said that should have happened, but then we could go and watch this and be like, oh fuck, it's just too serious, too dark and serious. Like I just want a silly cannibal movie,
Just want something in the middle.
I know. That's it. You have to have the right balance, but no. I think we will. I definitely will go and watch some of the sequels anyway.
I mean, if people want us to go watch them and talk about them on the show, you should post something in the comments.
We'll see. We'll see. Let us know in the comments if you've seen the sequels and which is the best one to go for. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we have to watch in order. Like, you can't not watch in order.
Yeah.
We're not fucking monsters. But let's talk about some of our favorite scenes.
Yeah.
The kills. Well, we'll talk about the scenes first, and then we'll sort of elaborate into the kills, which probably will fall under favorite scenes, I would imagine. But I love the discovery of the house. I think in these types of cannibal exploitation type movies, that's a very important scene. You have to, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, whenever they go to the house, that's that's a huge scene. They go in and they creep through the doors and they see all the bones and they discover, and then eventually you see Leatherface and all hell breaks loose. But I love the discovery of the house. It's not as isolated as you said that the road isn't as bad as they sort of make out. It's not as isolated as you think. I mean, it's quite a big clearing as well.
Yeah.
The house, it's not in the middle of the woods. It's not Evil Dead. It's kind of in a clearing. It's surrounded by forest, but there's a big clearing area where they can drive up. And it looks like a bit of, it looks like a piece of shit outside. It doesn't look that big, but then when they go inside, they're like, "Where's the toilet? Where's the bathroom? Where's this? Where's that? Is anybody
and
here?
Hello!" Into loads of rooms. It's pure
like,
TARDIS, like.
Dude, it's fucking. From the outside, it looked like it was just
a wee
Evil
cabin.
Dead cabin where there might be two rooms. But yeah, so important scene. I think they did it pretty well. When they go in, you have the usual kind of setup where it's a dinner table and old plates and moldy food and dirty and grimy. So I think the set decoration was really well done. Pardon me. And the design and all that was
the wee hoard room
really
and
cool.
all.
Yeah,
they had all their wee treasures and all, and then the bathroom with the fucking body in the bath and all. The bit they've got I really like that as well. But it's the bit whenever the cannibals rock up in their truck and they're trying to escape, but they can't go through the front door, so the back door, and then they can't kick the boards down.
I know.
Which I'm kind of like. I'm like those weren't two wee lads. Like they were big strapping boys.
Definitely played ball in their day.
I'm pretty sure they could have probably, if they gave it a few more kicks, if they put their weight behind, if both of them had put their weight behind it, probably could have got through. But the bit that got me, right? See, when they were escaping the house and they've hidden under the tables and stuff, they've hidden themselves away and they've managed to wait it out until the cannibals have gone to sleep. And they go out the front door and he grabs the spring on the door and his hand starts to bleed holding the spring.
I didn't quite understand that either.
Why was the spring jaggy or like?
I
don't get.
I didn't quite get that either. I mean, he opened the door, spring.
Was the tension of the spring so taut that it was causing?
It was going to like ping out or something. I didn't know, make noise.
Yeah, I didn't like. I understand he maybe did it because he didn't want the door to like fly. Even though they were all like leaving as quick as they could, it probably wouldn't have had a chance to fly back on him. But yeah, it was his bleeding hand as he held the spring. I was like, let that go. Just hold the door. You don't have to hold the spring.
And then when they do escape, now if I was escaping a house in the woods from cannibals, and I was young and healthy, fit, all those young, they obviously clearly look after their bodies. Yeah. All of them. Ex-athletes, ex-cheerleaders, whatever. If I was escaping cannibals, the first thing I would do is run up a really steep hill that would be difficult to climb and run into the woods, because that's the first thing I would do. Yeah. I wouldn't make for the road in front of me and try to get to a main road and then potentially run off. No. I would just run off. That's
where clearly there's loose soil.
Thing. Yeah.
Lots of loose soil. You can maybe fall back down to the cannibals and just.
Because I actually thought for a second when they escaped, I was like, why have they split up?
Yeah. No.
But then I realized, oh no, they haven't split up. Cut back, because the way it was filmed, it sort of looked as if they'd split. And I was like, why would you do that? And then eventually, you see them climb the sort of loose soil.
Isn't there a lovely, convenient log for them to grab onto? There is as well along that loose soil path.
It's very well set up.
Yeah, it's so convenient for their escape.
We did forget to mention actually that this cannibal family, they're not just a random family. They have, they were the ones that created the car crash. So they've done this many times before. And I like that. I like that whenever they escape and they go into a field, they see all the cars and the vehicles and the belongings of other families that have clearly been trapped and killed by this family, this cannibal's family. So I did like that, and I liked that moment where the realization came over the group where fuck, look at all these people that have died here, and I like that. I thought it was good.
I like all the car thing, but again, it's something we've seen before. We've seen it before.
We've seen it before.
So I was kind of like, I like this. I do like when we see like the stuff when you're like, oh, stuff. But we've seen it before. But I did like whenever, again, tropey, but like I'm gonna sacrifice myself so you guys can get away. But then they double whammy that because Scott then goes and does it too, but Scott gets fucked up.
Scott gets
fucked up. I liked his when he got shot with the arrows, but I like they didn't just immediately let us know they'd been shot with an arrow. He kind of slows down a bit and is like staring at them, and then he kind of slowly comes to.
You see the blood just dripping out slightly, and
shit like that. He's fucked. He's fucked.
Yeah.
And then his fiance's panic in the car, and I was like, okay, I can take this. But at the same time, it was like, listen, like, I know you guys have just seen your mate get shot with a couple of arrows there, but fucking put that foot down. Don't be fucking around. Just put that fucking foot down right now. They linger too long and too much of an opportunity for somebody else to get an arrow to the face. Talking about arrows to the faces, what about that cop getting one through the fucking eye socket?
That was probably the best kill.
That was my favorite. Yep, that was. My favorite.
There was that one where he comes across the cop and you think, oh, brilliant, he's got a cop. Now, two things ran through my head. I was thinking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think they were playing with that as well because the sheriff is part of the family type thing, and I think they were playing with that, assuming that, oh, maybe this cop isn't a good guy, maybe he's part of the family. But they didn't even give you the time. So as soon as he got out and he was like, hey boy, what's wrong? A fucking arrow just goes through his eye. And it's great. It's fucking great. And
it's a wonderful, it looks really well. It just, it's such a moment.
I also enjoyed Carly's death. So when you spoke about the watchtower, they get to a watchtower later on in the film, and they climb up the watchtower, and it's at nighttime in the dense forest, and they try to radio out, and the cannibals hear the radio, so they climb up and they try to burn the watchtower. Now, the only escape is to jump out of the window and hope to God you don't get impaled by branches in these 20-foot trees, and they all land fairly securely, and eventually they make their way out of the trees. But I think that scene went on a wee bit too long, but there was a lot of like walking on branches and like tiptoeing from one tree to the next, which they managed to do, under that panic and under that distress. But she gets caught, so she's stopping at one of the big tree trunks, and she's looking at her mate, and her mate's like, come on, and she's just waiting for the right moment. And then I think it's the wee kid, is it the wee skinny boy, the wee rat boy?
No, it's
one of the big.
I think it's One Eye, maybe.
Is it one of the big boys?
So
as a machete, and or is it an axe? One of the two, I don't know.
I think
it's an axe. You're right. And the axe just comes round and just right in her mouth. Not even at her neck, in her mouth. And it just gets stuck into the tree, and that's a cool moment as well. And then her body gives way and falls down, but her head stays in the axe. Class, man.
Yeah, it was good. What about when Three Fingers gets knocked out of a tree, and we assume Three Fingers is dead? I thought it was fun, but also kind of silly. I was like, that's silly, fun.
As he falls.
Yeah, and he just yeah. Well,
but he's probably fallen out of a tree. I mean, he's only got 3 fingers, so I mean, I'm sure he can cope with some pain. His threshold's pretty good.
He fucking comes back later on, doesn't he?
He does.
There's no keeping a good man down. But fuck, it just the deaths were good. But again, all too rushed at times. What about, how did your man know that he could fit under the police jeep, but also that there would be like a perfect beam that could carry his weight and that he could grip onto, even though he had a short leg that would take him the whole way back to the cabin under the... I was just like, fuck off. Like, that man's leg would be fucking trailing on the road and he'd be squealing his wee head off.
Especially on a dirt road, Danny.
A road as dirty as
I think that just proves that the road was pretty good.
It was a good
They
road.
weren't good over bumps. They weren't
No.
hitting loose
There was not a
stones.
single speed bump that he could have hit against. He was a wild, confident man to be doing something like that. And the thing as well, just before he does that, before he gets, he's under the car, he's under the Jeep, and then he gets out from under the Jeep, and then he gets back under the Jeep again to hide in it. But while he's under the Jeep, he has enough time. He definitely had enough time to grab that policeman's pistol, and he doesn't do it.
That's one of the things I thought he would have done, would
Like,
get the
why?
gun, yeah.
Like, he had ample time to just and fucking shoot the leg off Al fucking Sawtooth. He doesn't do it.
I know.
Silly, so silly.
Or just roll out and shoot him in the head.
Yeah, exactly. So just fucking something instead of being like, I gotta unroll out from under this Jeep, and then I'm gonna rope it back under again and hold on for dear life. Fucking yeah, and then fucking Sawtooth takes the Jeep anyway. Takes the Jeep on home.
Aye, I know it's. You can't be questioning the decisions of characters in a horror movie, Danny. Surely not.
And it's just
come on now.
Too many silly things.
But so everyone dies apart from, I don't know their names. Eliza
Dushku,
main
ones.
Eliza Dushku and Desmond Harrington. So his name
two main ones. But what happened? So she gets fucking kidnapped by fucking Al fucking One Eye. Fucking takes her home and she's squealing and getting on. He looks like he's going to chop her up because that's what they do. They just chop people up. But then he gets distracted by something, and there's a fucking what was it? He hears something outside the house, and as he goes to turn, the police jeep drives into the fucking house.
Oh, aye, that's right.
Which again, I was like, oh fuck, okay. And then they manage to get out of the house, and they fucking shoot the gas canisters that are on the back of the police jeep. And we have arrived at the moment. We have arrived at the moment.
Oh yes, here we go. What is your thing?
Moment, right? So whenever they shoot, so that's it. He throws like a Molotov or something at the cabin, and it's a light, and then he drives the Jeep in, and it's sitting at the front of the house and the cabin, and it's already a light and all, and then he shoots one of the barrels, and it fucking sparks up, and it catches the light, and the whole fucking place blows up. But as it blows up, they get blown back, and as they get blown back, you hear a scream. But the scream happened, and I was like, that's the fucking start of James Brown's I Feel Good. You know that? That was, and I was like, that's the scream from the start of James Brown's I Feel Good. And
it's not a Wilhelm scream. It's a James Brown scream.
It's a James Brown scream. And this is a thing.
Oh, is it?
Apparently, this is a thing in horror that people sample just that wee bit at the start of I Feel Good, that like initial kind of like, ah! Is apparently a thing in horror. Apparently, other horror movies.
Have I heard that before?
Which I had never, but I knew, like, watching this film, I was like, that's fucking James Brown. That's a fucking James Brown scream if ever I had. So I had to go look it up, and apparently I found a fucking Reddit thread. This apparently is, there's people discussing, this is a thing. Apparently that James
And what
Brown
other horror films?
What other ones was there? Oh, hold on. Let me see.
Should we listen out to intently?
Let me see what ones did I find covered by this.
Is it just called the James Brown scream? Or is there a title to it that we should keep our eyes open in case we see it online somewhere?
Wrong Turn, James Brown. The I'm Back scene from Independence Day. Apparently they use it there too. Where else? There is,
I'm guessing this is in the public domain. And anyone can use it.
Must be. And then Raw Deal. One of Arnie's films.
Yeah,
apparently they use the James Brown scream, and they sample it there as well.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, apparently it's kind of like a Wilhelm scream deal where, you just throw that in.
Class.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your wee nugget of information.
Which, honestly, like that, whenever I was so convinced, I was like, that's fucking, I know that was James. It was so weird because we'd heard her screaming the whole way through the film. I was like, that wasn't her screaming. That was fucking. So there you go. James Brown's scream is in Wrong Turn, and it fucking delighted me to no end. that I've
I
discovered
love
that
it.
this is now a thing, and
love
I'm
it,
gonna
man.
be like, I'm gonna be fucking watch. I love watching out for Wilhelm screams, but now I'll be watching out for James Brown screams as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
We'll keep me posted on that on your
Oh.
James Brown
My James Brown screams.
hear along. Yeah. No, fucking some good kills. And let's talk about the end. You spoke about it there. The house blows up, and they think, "Oh, that's they're dead. They're dead. They've escaped,
They're
and
done
they're
dead.
dead. The cannibals surely cannot survive this." And then we get another policeman who pulls up to the
It's
wreckage.
weird, like mid-credit scene. It's weird because I didn't expect it because there was
Yeah,
like
because you get
mid-credit
the
scenes and credits weren't a thing then.
you get the end, and then you get sort of mid credit. This scene happens where the policeman pulls up to the cabin, and he's kind of looking around the bits and bobs, and he sees the charred remains of the house, and then we get the return of one of the
It's
it's three fingers, isn't it?
It's
Aye,
three fingers,
the wee
yeah.
rat, and he looks even more ratty.
Eyes all burnt.
You see like a close up of his face as he kills the policeman.
Yeah.
And it's
He's
like,
like,
he's like very ratty, the big fucking teeth and stinking, but awesome makeup, as you would expect.
It's
But
true.
yeah, this started a franchise. There's 6 films total, and then we got the remake 2 years ago, I think, or last year, maybe. But yeah, so massive franchise in the horror community. Well, I would say massive. It's not massive. It's not financially. It wasn't massive, but it's a beloved franchise, I think, for a lot of horror fans. And I am definitely going to go and watch the sequels. It may take me a while.
I might wrong turn into them. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, may as well wrong turn into them, but just make sure and watch them in order, because I know nothing about them in terms of. Are they related? Is it different? Is it random stories from different parts of the States or the world or whatever? I don't know. So it'll be interesting to go in kind of blind and see where it takes me. But I'm excited.
Do it, me.
I'm excited about it. But yeah, so that's all the time we have this week, Danny.
Yeah.
Time we fuck off and
take
do
a wee
other
wrong
shit.
turn somewhere else.
Do other shit, yeah. But as always, please go and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and check out our Facebook page, and visit the website at www.thefrightclubni.com.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave comments below. Let us know who your favorite incestuous cannibal is. And
mine's 3 fingers.
From this film, why do you keep doing that? That's really horrible.
This is wee 3 fingers.
And so from this film or other films of the same ilk, or exploitation films, obviously this was based on, films that we mentioned at the start, Texas Chainsaw, Hills of Eyes, Deliverance, that kind of thing. But let us know, your thoughts on the sequels as well, and what we should expect from whenever we eventually get around to watch them. Yeah. And even the remake as well. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I know whenever I went on and it came out and I was looking at Twitter, it was, there was some positive reviews, there was some negative, as you always get from those kind of remakes. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it takes me. I'm not 100% saying that I'm definitely going to watch them all, because I'm quite busy and I've got other shit to do, but we'll see. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Yeah, so Danny.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell icon. Otherwise, we'll send 3 fingers after you.
We will. You'll get 3 fingers up the howl.
Whichever howl.
All 3 howls.
It won't tell you. It just won't tell you. It'll just go for it.
What is it?
Gav, stop.
I'll stop that right there.
Don't you do it.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I promise you.
But yes, don't forget to do those things. And tell all your wee horror friends about us.
Tell your pals.
We're nearly at 400 subs. So it'd be nice to get to that 400 and then get to the next milestone after that, and just keep on building this happy little thing that we've got going.
The Fright Club. Build our little club.
Build our little club of friends.
On in. Everybody's welcome. Come on in.
Everybody's welcome. Yeah.
I know.
Even cannibalistic incest beings.
Well, just keep your distance, Keep your distance.
Yeah. Don't try
your wee 3 fucking dodgy fingers away, like. But if you've got any opinions on horror movies, give me your opinions.
We want to hear them.
But we do. We want to hear them.
We won't agree with them, but we want to hear them.
No, clearly we won't. But yeah, so next week is the finale. Season 7. 7 fucking seasons. Next week's the finale, and it's going to be a decent horror movie, Danny. And guess what? It's a horror movie that you've watched, and I haven't watched. There you go.
What?
It's a wee tease for you.
What?
And I will say it's quite a big horror film.
Yeah.
It's an anniversary this year, and it's a big horror film that the horror community are obsessed with.
It's
And it was
kicked off
also
something
a
massive.
franchise starter as well. So we'll get to it 2 weeks. We'll get to it. I have not watched this before, and I'll explain my reasons why I haven't watched it.
I'm excited for you.
I'm excited to watch it. I put it off for a while. I don't really know why, but I'll explain properly in the next episode. Why I haven't got around to watching it yet, and I'm excited to watch it as well, and excited to chat to you about it. So
I can't wait to hear what you conjure up.
until 2 weeks, all the best. Stay safe. Take care. See you then.
Bye.